Aren't all children self-focused, and isn't that just normal? It's a good question, and on the surface of it, the answer is yes, absolutely. Children are naturally self-focused. You could even say they're wired to be. When kids are really young, in particular, their world is small and immediate, and their primary focus is on feeling secure. So their own needs and feelings and wishes all sit at the center of their experience. In adolescence, we often see a different kind of self-focus. Teenagers become really self-aware and sometimes very self-conscious, comparing themselves to others, thinking about how they're seen, wondering where they fit in and how they can be more liked. And that inward focus is actually part of how identity gets shaped in adolescence. So if you've ever thought, why is my child so self-absorbed? Just know that some degree of self-focus is completely normal. But when does that intense focus on the self become unhealthy? And what, if anything, can parents do about that? Stay with me because we're going to talk about that and more in this video. Hi, I'm Jess Kingsford, and at Happy Hearts Parenting, we help kids thrive through connection, kindness, and contribution. Because right now, more and more kids are struggling with mental health problems. And yet the research is clear. Kids thrive most when they feel seen and valued, when they know they have something to give, and when they know that what they do in the lives of others matters. So let's get into it. So I'll say it again, some degree of self-focus in childhood is not only normal, it's necessary for development, but there's a bigger story unfolding in our world that many parents aren't fully aware of. Because while self-focus is normal, research is showing that in many modern societies, children are becoming more self-oriented and more self-interested than ever before. Researchers like Jean Twenge and Jonathan Haidt and many others have written a lot about this broader societal trend towards a more self-focused and individualized way of growing up. Now, I want to be really clear about something. I'm not blaming children here or pointing fingers and saying, oh, kids these days are so awful, they're so self-obsessed. That would be a very simplistic response to a complex problem. What we're talking about here is a shift in the environment that children are growing up in. Children today are developing in a world that places a huge emphasis on the individual, on personal achievement, personal happiness, and personal identity. And then layered on top of that, we've had the arrival of smartphones, social media, and front-facing cameras, tools that quietly but powerfully contribute to turning our attention inward. Even though this trend towards individualism started many decades ago, some say centuries ago, certainly long before the arrival of digital technology, our digital lives have accelerated that inward turn. In more recent times, as this trend has intensified, we've seen rising rates of mental and emotional health challenges in young people. Things like anxiety, depression, loneliness, social isolation, emotional dysregulation, and in some groups, self-harm and suicidal ideation. Now, I'm not drawing a simple cause and effect line between these things. Human development is complex, but the pattern is hard to ignore. Increasing self-focus and individualism, increasing self-comparison and self-concern, and at the same time, more mental and emotional distress in childhood. Now, alongside this cultural trend towards hyper-individualism, we've also seen the rise in what's being called snowplow or over-involved or helicopter-style parenting. Parents who are deeply caring and engaged in their child's development, but who are sometimes so focused on their child's experience, success, and happiness that the child's world revolves almost entirely around them. And while this comes from a place of love, it can unintentionally reinforce the idea for a growing child that life is pretty much all about me, my growth, my success, my happiness. So we end up with a kind of perfect storm, a more individualistic culture, a more self focused digital environment, and parenting styles that, without meaning to, draw children's attention back towards themselves. Now, what this picture can result in is children have become highly attuned to themselves, but less naturally attuned to others. So let me say again, yes, of course, children need a strong sense of self. They need to know that their feelings matter, their needs matter, their voice matters. But a healthy life requires balance. Children also need to learn that other people matter too, their feelings, their experiences, their needs. Because a rich and meaningful life isn't built on self focus alone, it's built through relationships, through empathy, understanding, cooperation, repair, generosity, and mutual care. Now, we can't do a whole lot about how individualistic and screen driven our world has become, but we can be more intentional in the way that we parent. At Happy Hearts Parenting, this is what we focus on, helping parents to help their children develop not just confidence in themselves, but a strong and healthy orientation towards other people. Because when children develop that balance between self-care and care for others, they don't just become more socially capable, they become more deeply connected in relationships that involve mutual care. And because of that, we know from the research, they're more likely to experience better mental and emotional health over the long term. So, what does that intentional parenting look like? What can we do as parents? Well, the first step is developing some awareness ourselves, simply recognizing that the world your child is growing up in is shaping their attention in powerful ways. You can notice the many ways that hyper individualism and our digital world may be contributing to an imbalance in your child's sense of themselves relative to others. Second, I think we need to exercise compassion for our kids because it can't be easy growing up in an environment that's constantly pulling your attention towards self-comparison, self-focus, and self-monitoring. Our role is not to scold our children for being self-involved, but to guide them towards something healthier. And thirdly, we can employ a range of effective strategies that gently but regularly shift our child's attention outward towards others, helping them develop a healthier balance between being self-interested and being sensitive to the needs and experiences of others. And here at Happy Hearts Parenting, we have a ton of resources designed to help you do exactly that. So please do check some of those out when you finish watching this video. So to recap on what we've covered, yes, self-focus in childhood is normal. In fact, it's even necessary. But if we want our children to truly thrive, not just individually, but relationally, we have to help them learn that life is not just about me. Most of the time, it's actually about us. And when children learn that balance, they don't lose themselves. They really just become more fully human. If you found this video helpful, share it with someone you think might value these insights too. And check out our other resources at Happy Hearts Parenting to support your child's development through connection, kindness, and contribution. Thanks for watching. Happy parenting, and I'll see you next time.